Yo, how we doing? Yo, 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 is this thing on? Today. Yo, Panda, how you doing? Good to see you. We're trying something new today. Is that better? Okay. We're gonna try something new today. We're gonna try, going over the news. Talking about current events. Perhaps even a little drama. Whatever, if I'm being quite honest, whatever I'm interested in. There are a couple of things I wanted to talk about, actually. And that is, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the current Ethan Klein and iDubbbz controversy, or beef. I also think it would be interesting to go over what's been going on currently in the news, in politics and religion, and stuff like that. And yeah. If you are in the Discord, I highly suggest joining the Discord. So that way, I have a channel in there that you can send in links that if you'd like me to react to something. Let me just... Also, I don't know why it sounds like... I feel like I have a frog in my throat or something. Or maybe that's just the way it is today. Let me bring up... Let me check how this is going. Let me do a screen capture here. Safari. Sounds like a fun stream. Too bad you'll be in and out with your chores. No worries. Yeah, this is a good... I think this is a good opportunity to... I always use news streams to look over to do chores and stuff, so I completely get you on that one. I did some yard work earlier today, and my hands are now like a little bit scuffed. So this is might not be precise. The heck? Whatever. It's gonna be good enough. Thank God you're not working today. Can watch your country's general election. Oh, which country are you in? Singapore. Ah, okay. Nice. Streaming on Discord now? Ooh. Also... Oh, right, okay. Kuan Yin. I didn't connect it. But, welcome to the stream. Let me go to... I'm gonna hop in my general voice chat here. And I'm going to... If people want to pop in, they can. Check. Discord. Is this working? Discord. Okay. Discord overlay. Well. That kind of works. Perfect. Okay. Let me transition here for you all. But yeah, let me go to the React links. There were some links that people wanted me to look at. Copy. Heck. Okay, let me switch over to... Boom. A. What is best here? It might be... Let me move my camera over here. Does that bother people? Because I think it's more important that I think it's more important that people see the videos, so that way if we're reacting to stuff, it's proper. We don't want to just steal stuff. Yes, that is a bother. Me having the camera over here, is that an issue? All right. So, let's look at this. Beth sent this in, and also welcome to the Discord, Panda. Welcome. Yeah, Beth sent this in. California becomes the first state to sue Trump over tariffs. If anybody wants to debate me, discuss something, or just hang out, I'll be in voice chat, and y'all can just pop in. Yeah. So,
pressure is building here at home. California Governor Gavin Newsom filing a lawsuit to block the impact of the tariffs. He's seeking to forge independent relationships with international trading partners while urging tariff exemptions for California-made products. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang joins me now for more. Selena, let's start with this. What more do we know about this Newsom lawsuit against the administration?
So, Phil, this lawsuit argues that President Trump has overstepped his authority, that he doesn't have the authority to unilaterally impose these sweeping tariffs, saying that his actions are illegal. It also says that Trump's sweeping tariffs have caused immediate and irreparable harm to California's economy. Governor Gavin Newsom has been talking about how tariffs have already cost the state billions of dollars in inflated costs and supply chain
because
disruptions. Now, Newsom has also been stressing that these tariffs really disproportionately impact California.
True.
If California were its own country, it would...
So, California, as I'm sure we're all aware, has like a lot of trade hubs here. So that's the reason why California is being disproportionately like targeted. But Trump doesn't really care about that because he doesn't like California. He's trying to bring California into he's trying to like get states in line by like punishing them. And also like California gets a lot of trade from China, right? So that disproportionately impacts us. Also, we have a very large Chinese population here, like Chinese and Taiwanese, as well as like Japanese, Korean. So these tariffs really impact imports. I know that I just saw a news. I think it was the other day on the local news here. It was a story about how local businesses, especially like in California, like the Roland Heights area, are impacted because a lot of them operate off of imported Chinese goods because they're serving the Chinese local population here. Also, obviously, I think I just want to put that out there. I'm going to be biased when I'm talking about this kind of stuff because the temple that I go to, the Buddhist temple that I'm a part of, you can see the posters there. It's Fo Guangshan. They are based in Taiwan, but it's Chinese speaking, and so we have a lot of Chinese speaking members of our community, and so this does impact those people. And also part of this too is that people question whether the president has the authority to impose such large tariffs, because I think the argument is that Congress is supposed to vote those things in. Tariffs, Congress. Let's look it up. Does Congress control tariffs? Sole authority to levy taxes. Congress has passed laws allowing the president to impose tariffs for national security reasons unilaterally. So he's going to be arguing that this is a national security reason. But that's debatable, obviously.
Be the world's fifth largest economy, so it is a massive importer and exporter, especially when it comes to those agricultural goods. Newsom has spoken about how the farmers in California are especially vulnerable. They export their farming products all around the world, and the retaliatory tariffs from various countries, including from China, really harm those farmers. So Newsom there, he is saying in this lawsuit that they need these tariffs to be stopped. They do not want the Trump administration to enforce them.
So This is an issue, especially for America. The problem with the Trump presidency currently is that it is, I mean, I'm sure I don't have to say it, but it is going against democracy. It's authoritarian, and a lot of what he is doing is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has many times ruled that he needs to do things, that he can't be doing other things, that he needs to comply with Supreme Court rulings, but he doesn't because, I don't know, he thinks that he's above it. And we are now in a situation where in the past we haven't really had this problem. But now we're facing a unique situation, right? So if we think about the way that the U.S. government is set up, right? We have the balance of powers. We got three branches, right? The executive, judicial, and legislative branch. Currently, the executive branch seems to hold a lot of power, and the job of the executive branch is to ensure that the laws put forth by the legislative, and then also the judgments ruled upon by the judicial are carried out, right? That's the executive branch's whole responsibility, right? But what happens when the executive branch chooses not to enforce anything and chooses not to abide by judicial decisions, right? Now we're in a situation where he's not listening to anybody. So some people have called this a constitutional crisis. We've never been in this situation before. The responsibility of the president is to uphold the law, to execute the decisions made by other branches. But we've, for some reason, invested so much power, which in the past, it has benefited us, right? Look at FDR. FDR used a lot of his power to do a lot of great things for this country. Same thing with Abraham Lincoln, right? When he was in office, there were a lot of debates on whether or not what he was doing was within his power, right? But he used his power to do good things, right? But now we are in a situation where we have somebody that's authoritarian. I don't want to say that he... I think there's an interesting problem, right? The Democratic Party has kind of screwed themselves over by saying Trump is Hitler, Trump is a Nazi, Trump is, all these terrible things, he's a fascist. And while I don't disagree, it's hard because once you use that label all the time for these things, right? Now that label loses power. And when we really need to be pointing things out, people don't trust it anymore, right? So if I told somebody that this is an authoritarian thing, they would dismiss it, right?
Just to add on something,
Yeah.
This tariff thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a cousin that lives in China, so we were just talking about this Trump tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just joking around, and the reaction from us in Singapore is very hilarious. Because we just looked at him like, you broke something that you made years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We had a free trade agreement with him. I think that was 2018. Is 2018?
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't remember. My history is a bit shit, so mind me. So we were joking. So we were saying that China is not going to be affected because we are not buying shit from him.
Mm-hmm.
From the Singapore would definitely be affected one way or either. Predominantly of Apple products. We were talking about Apple products.
Mm-hmm.
So I buy my products now, it will be more expensive. Very, very expensive for a phone. This 10% will make me even more broke. So we were just joking that if he imposes more tariffs on China, It's just going to show that he's just trying to show power. He's not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
He can't do anything.
Right.
If I'm reflecting on anything, drag me back.
Yeah. Well, I
This
mean,
is a
that's
very
the whole
heated
thing,
debate.
right? That Trump, China and Trump are both. Xi Jinping is not necessarily like the most selfless person, right? They both have their own authoritarian, charismatic leader, populist thing going on. So it's two egos clashing up against each other.
I'm not saying I support China. It's just that I prefer China over what the state is doing. Because China is definitely much more, in terms of economic, better.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're also more local to you, because you said that you were in Singapore, right? They're more local to you. They probably have more local influence over the countries that you're nearby. And also, right now, I think a lot of people are siding with China because they are the more reliable country to be siding with. Whereas Trump, he is swinging back and forth. We don't know, like, foreign powers can't trust anything that he says right now.
Yeah. Because when I bought stocks, it crashed the moment the tariffs started. But anyways, because I went to China recently, Shenzhen. It's the tech capital of China. Technology is all hell go loose over there. You got people producing phones and laptops. I was just there for a shopping spree. Okay, I'm just there to buy new laptops. I did the price comparison. It is much cheaper to buy from China.
Yeah, obviously.
For a MacBook, okay, talking about my MacBook, right? It's MacBook Air. I think it's the fifth. Is it the largest? The largest size is I forgot the size already, but it's the I think it's M13 chip. I might forget, but when I did the price, so if I were to use the Apple pricing, it would be 1,000 plus, 1,000 plus bucks. When I went to Shenzhen to buy, which is nearer the South China Sea area, okay, it is half that price, if not lower. Brand new, first hand. It's not second hand. I'm not counting. It's definitely cheaper. So when Trump proposed this, how do I say? When he placed this tariff up, we were like, you know what? I'm not buying Apple from the shops anymore. I'm going to go to China to buy them.
Right. Well, I mean, it's also ironic because it's a U.S. company, so the money comes back to us anyway.
Anything close.
Yeah, and I think Apple was seeking to be exempt from a lot of these tariffs as well.
Yeah.
I can fact check that easily. Hold on.
But just to go back to my country, right? Because of this tariff, current general election is currently ongoing. Today is nomination day, so they are handing in their papers.
Yeah, Apple tariff exemption. Let's see. Yeah, agreed to. Trump agreed to exempt from import duties for electronic Apple products. So
specifically Apple. Very funny.
There might be Nvidia as well. Let's see.
Oh, if there is, they would great.
Yeah, Nvidia, Apple, and Dell have received temporary exemptions from some tariffs. Barron's News is the source here.
Because I just attended a debate over this tariff thing, and a lot of them couldn't use factual sources. They were like pulling out funky documents from weird sources. Especially when it comes to vaccine, they were using RFK Jr. as a very credible source. And I was like, that interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, you trust RFK Jr. or not over my dead body, you trust him.
Well, that's a great segue into another topic that was shared in the Discord. Icky in the community. Let me see here. React links.
RFK Jr. set these registry tracking autistic people.
Yeah, exactly. Let's copy. Let me put this in the good old search thing here.
Okay, a bit while you're doing that, right, I'll just say that I was watching Jubilee I think it's one doctor versus 20 anti-vax or something. 90% of them were using RFK Jr. as a credible source, and I'm starting to get very worried. If this is the new age people that we are having, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah.
Is this normal in the States? I don't know, but it's appearing here because now they're saying RFK is a trusted doctor.
So
I'm scared.
this is the New Republic. I'm not familiar with this news agency here, and also I don't know why I'm getting all these ads here. But here's an article: RFK Jr. set to launch disease registry tracking autistic people, using private medical records to make it happen. National Institutes of Health and the NIH is helping to collect private medical records from government and commercial databases to give to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Includes prescription records from pharmacies, lab testing, genomics records, Department of Veteran Affairs, and Indian Health Service. Not good. Private insurance claims, data from smartwatches and fitness trackers. This is a big problem.
There goes your private information.
Yep. Drawing criticism from mainstream medical researchers saying by calling autism preventable. I will say though that this does seem to be a inflammatory headline, because he has not. Let's see. Okay, this is CBS News. RFK Jr.'s autism study to amass medical records. Okay, so this might be the better article here. So this is specifically to aid his study of autism. The interesting thing is, right, that there is an interesting argument here. So when you think about diagnosis, right? Increasing rates does not always mean that the thing is more prevalent. Sometimes it means that we're just detecting it more, right? So the more that our psychological, our psychological assessments increase in validity and accuracy, and the more that we're giving psychological assessments, the more we're going to be able to recognize and diagnose people with autism, with ADHD, with other things. There's also an argument to be said that there could be increases in actual prevalence in how common these diagnoses are, not because of how much we're diagnosing, but because of the way that we're living. There are some arguments, and I've not reviewed the research on this, but I've just heard discussion. So this is up for debate. It's not a fact that ADHD can be caused by the pervasive use of social media and addictive technology, right? Which I think there's something to that, just personally looking at experience, not based on any research. But if you think about it, if you're living your life and every single time you get bored, you can go to a phone and flick through it, your attention span isn't going to be as good. So it could be the case that a lot of people don't necessarily have ADHD, but they've conditioned themselves like through almost like CBT. They have conditioned themselves to be distractible, to not have a large attention span, which is interesting. But in the case of autism, that's increasing rates of autism. Just my guess is that it's mostly to do with our increased testing. Yeah.
You mentioned social media and ADD, right? So I don't know if I still have the video and the documents, because a university in my country did a study on something similar like this. So it's a control group, two groups. One group that is actually diagnosed with it, with the other one is normal people like us. So basically, what they do is they locked away the phone for almost, I think, 3 months just to do this trial. And if I'm going off memory, so if I'm wrong, I have to send it to you, but I'll fact check along the way. Results are not how do I say? Wait, God, my brain is not working today.
You're good.
Okay, so the result is it won't affect either side, even if you're diagnosed or not diagnosed. It's just, when you're on, because they were talking about social media, right? So they're like, it's not going to affect, not going to change or allow you to, have some new form of ADD or ADHD. Because I'm just stating from what I remember, what I know, because it's based on conversations and documents I've seen. So if I'm wrong, don't take everything I say for grain of salt. It won't affect, because people already with diagnosed would definitely already have some form of, regimen to themselves. They would already be doing something on a daily that's constantly allowing them to jump here, jump there. And I dealt with this kind of students before. Oh. Give me a minute.
You're good. Let's see. I'm doing a little research here on my academic database. Relationships between, this is a 2022 dissertation by Alexander Chang, or Chong. Relationships between social media use, social climate, ADHD symptomology, and driving. It seems a bit wide. Let's see. Mobile phone introduction and social media use, an analysis of ADHD diagnoses. This is 2025. Applied economics letters. Interesting.
That's a very interesting page.
I'm not going to share my screen because this has got my personal academic login. Hold on.
Oh no. Just to summarize what I said earlier, right? So the conclusion was social media doesn't affect anything. It's just a presumption by it is a general presumption by people that they will affect. Because coming from an Asian household, if you're sick or whatever, they'll just blame your phone, if not social media, for you ending up like this. It's just a conclusion I'm trying to conclude. I'm trying to find back the old conversation. Nothing is affected because of this. It's just what you see would generally affect your view on things instead.
Okay, so this study by Hines, Olson, and Troilo. Okay, so they see the study investigates whether the rise in smartphone and social media adoption has influenced increased attention deficit hyperactivity disorder (ADHD) diagnoses. CDC data from 1997 and 2019 estimate structural breaks in ADHD rates. We find a break in 2007 aligning with the introduction of the iPhone. This suggests smartphone technology may be linked to rising ADHD diagnoses. So they're mostly just looking at statistical correlation. So I wouldn't say this is a study that would have a causative, understanding problematic social media use in adolescents with. There seems to be a relationship between the two, but I don't. The problem with this type of research is that it's you rarely want to say that there's a causative, or there's there's like a causation, right? You mostly are just gonna say there's a relationship between these two things. Like for instance, I saw. Oh, interesting. TikTok and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, a cross-sectional study of social media content quality. So yeah, if people want to do some research, there's definitely a relationship between social media usage and ADHD. Yeah, definitely worth looking into there. But yeah, I'm concerned about this database because this seems to me like a HIPAA violation. And also it just makes me concerned because there's been a lot of patterns that concern me in the sense of I don't want to be that guy, that left-leaning person, but there is an issue in the past with certain political parties in Germany post World War I that in their rise to power compelled doctors to disclose information about patients of certain populations and then utilize that information to do really bad things. So I'm not super confident. Just considering the other ways that there have been parallels between that political movement in Germany post World War I and this current administration. He seems to be taking it straight out of the playbook, unfortunately. So, yeah. Thoughts? Any thoughts?
Based off what you read, it's probably a HIPAA violation, but
Bro, maybe they'll get it right this time.
They'll get it right to what?
who knows?
I'm just joking around.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what you said.
I mean, off topic. There goes Pope Francis. He's gone after meeting JD. What's his name? Vance, right?
JD Vance, yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke that not in my school that after meeting JD Vance, right, he's dead. So, someone told me that he's a spawn of Satan. Apparently. I'm scared.
As a Buddhist, I cannot offer
I'm
any
like,
comment because that's not my business.
I'm like, Amitabha, please go to a better place. Rest in peace. I know. Amitabha.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the Pope, based on what I've read about Pope Francis, he was a very progressive Pope and a pretty influential spiritual leader in the world. So
he
this is a big loss.
He came to Singapore last year.
Someone pointed out a parallel between how JD Vance, like the Pope had a meeting with JD Vance, and then the day after he passed away, and then before the Queen died, the Queen Elizabeth had a meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May, and then she passed away. We were just like, interesting connections there.
Yeah, you know what's even more interesting? Everybody was saying like, guys, there's a secret, like the deep state. We gotta drain the swamp. But literally, the deep state is conservatives. Like it's like they'll talk about the Democratic Party, but like the Republicans are the one that are like coming out with like what was the Project 2020. What was it? 2020.
2025.
Yeah. Like that's an actual conspiracy. That's true. And then also the signal. Like, are we just forgetting that there was like a huge breach? And also they found out that he did it again. Hegseth did it again. Yeah. He did it twice, and his wife was in the second one. Like, his wife has no business being in that.
And his brother.
It's just so like, what the heck? Trisha Paytas is pregnant again too. Because I remember when the Queen died, everybody were joking, right? That that her baby was the queen reincarnated.
It's the Pope as well. The Pope incarnate.
Trisha
Pope
has a new
reincarnated to
single.
someone.
Oh no! So the Pope was reincarnated as Trisha's single.
Now the talk in the town is the new Pope. Yeah, they're all hoping for a Filipino Pope.
Yeah.
I'm like, and he's not even cold yet. Just shut the hell up. Let him die first.
Yeah.
Well, imagine Obama dies and then also reincarnates as Trisha Payne.
Oh man. Then Trisha's family is just like reincarnated queen, reincarnated pope. Just a family of like reincarnated famous people. It's about burgers. I'm curious, but also I'm not gonna subject myself or you all to that. So I guess look it up on your own time. Yeah. Speaking of Trisha Paytas, one of the topics I wanted to talk about today is the new H3H3 and iDubbbz beef. Are we familiar with this?
No.
Oh boy. Is this a doozy? So what did I say? H3H3? Yeah. I'm going to iDubbbz like content cop. I'm going to pull up a video. And while we could watch an entire 5-hour live stream of Ethan Klein debunking every single context. All right, okay, I'm going to open up some videos here and we'll do a brief historical deep dive into this. Content cop H3. Oh my god, I didn't even realize this was an hour-long video. Alright, let me go over to here. Alright, so where do I begin? This is a mess. Okay, so it all starts with Leftovers podcast, arguably. Are we familiar with Leftovers podcast?
No.
Okay, so Leftovers podcast was a podcast that Ethan from H3H3 Productions and Hassan Piker, Hassanabi on Twitch, had together. It was like a liberal or like leftist podcast that was like going over politics, and Hassan was like supposed to be like the political expert or whatever, because he's a politics streamer. I get it. So everything's going well, except for there's a pivotal moment in which the world changed for many people, and I shouldn't be. I mean, this is serious. October 7th happens, and Ethan is Jewish, right? And Ethan has always been and still remains pro-Palestinian. He's against Netanyahu. He doesn't agree with anything that Netanyahu says, but Ethan also believes that Jewish people have a right to exist, and that an attack like this is not right. And I think that obviously as a Jewish person, his wife is Jewish, and I mean his babies, his children are ethnically Jewish. I don't know if they like have a practicing religion. And obviously that's not even my business. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, they obviously have an affiliation with Israel. Ela lived in Israel, and she was just like all citizens of Israel, had to register for the Israeli Defense Force because it was her time to serve, and she served it as a secretary. But, you know, they eventually, because of this position, have a breakup with Hassan, because Hassan is very pro-Palestinian. I would say in a bad way. Like, there's pro-Palestinian, like a reasonable person, and then there's pro-Palestinian in like an anti-Semitic way. Unfortunately, I believe that Hassan, I don't know if he's actively anti-Semitic, but he says a lot of things that are anti-Semitic. And he also just, I mean, I could do a whole stream just about my beef with Hassan Piker, my personal disagreements with him. Not that it's obviously one-sided, but I just don't agree with the way that he talks about politics, the way that he talks about the world, and the way that he operates. I just find him to be not productive. So
it's like a casual viewer of Hassan Abi. Like, I always found, like, I can't tell if his view or like his approach or like the content style is just like that because that's what sells. Like he's very inflammatory, right? The way he talks about things. And it's like, and I get that even in the mainstream media, that's why people watch, right? That's what people get, what gets people's attention. So I'm just like, I don't know if it's like, well, I don't know what came first. I don't know if he was always like that, or if he grew to become more inflammatory and like provocative and just a sensationalist because that's, you know. So I don't know. So that's also part of the reason why I'm just like, I can't be like a fan of him because it's not a productive way to have a discussion. Yeah, and it's very aggressive. So yeah, I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah, and also, like, I disagree with the way that he has handled U.S. politics. He consistently, more often than you would hope, does death threats on politicians, says like unhinged stuff about like streets running with blood. I mean, this is different and less violent, but he told people not to vote for Kamala Harris. He's like literally, I think he's the #1 most viewed political pundit in America, and he told his fan base not to vote. Like, it's possible that he had a large hand in why we lost. It's hard to attribute that responsibility, right? But it's not impossible to see how he could. And he's shown terrorist propaganda on stream. He's brought a Houthi terrorist on stream. Somebody, like, the Houthi terrorist, Hassan will say is like not, he's not a terrorist, he's just some guy, and he was just a guest. But the guy literally on his own social media platform was like, yes, I'm a Houthi. So it's like, and he's like on stream in the interview talking about how like he's hanging out with like Chinese hostages, which is like just wild.
Man.
And you know, it'd be one thing if he was like a skilled reporter and like doing pushback and investigative reporting and all that. But no, he was just letting him say that stuff. He was hyping him up, and he just like, it was just completely irresponsible. But anyway, so Hassan Piker and Ethan have a podcast called Leftovers, and the podcast stops. They break up because Ethan believes that like Israeli people should like deserve some empathy, and that I mean, I think one of the arguments was that one of the big arguments, I think Ethan talked, and if anybody has clips on this, please send them in the chat. So that, like, but I'm just going off of memory here. I'm pretty sure Ethan asked him about what about baby settlers, and Hassan was like, well, they're settlers too. And the implication was that these babies deserve to die because they were Israeli settlers, which is just like, I find that to be
No. No, he did not.
Ethan versus Hassan, leftovers.
That's crazy.
Baby settlers. Let's see.
Wait, it says you were born in New Jersey?
No, that's not.
No, that's
Oh my
real.
god. I'm not gonna watch Hassan's own video on that. And I'm not gonna watch a Destiny video. I'm sorry, but
Oh my god, Destiny. Oh my god.
unfortunately,
He's another one.
I mean, I used to watch Destiny, and then he went too far. He did something that you just cannot. I cannot endorse, and so I can't watch him anymore.
Yeah, he makes me uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's like he's the best debater, unfortunately. So I think through his own negligence and moral problems, I don't have the baby settlers. What's over? Leftovers baby settlers wild. Oh god, the Timcast. I don't want to give him views.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody has that clip, send it. So, anyway, that was one of their big disagreements. But this basically puts Ethan at odds with the entirety of the online left. So now everybody is calling him and his wife Zionist, which, look, I am of the opinion that I hate to be the both sides guy, but I think it's just the true opinion, right? Like, as much as we'd like to play team sports about wars and stuff, like, the reality is that it's not a soccer game. It's not football, right? It's like a war with real problems. And obviously Israel aggravated Hamas. They aggravated the Palestinian people by settling in their territory, and in the same way, Hamas has done really terrible things. That both sides have done atrocious things to each other, and we can argue about like power differentials and the nuances of it, but the reality is that neither of these things, that like we should not be okay with either of the things that, like, any of the things that either one of them are doing to each other. So, man, there's just so much. I would say the majority of the online left commentary space, in the ones that are doing big numbers, especially on Twitch, are Hassan Piker and his sort of like group, his online leftist group, which you can all see in a video here. But we'll get to that because we're moving forward in the timeline here. So people like Mike from PA is a political streamer. He's a socialist streamer. You have Hassan, who is a communist socialist streamer. You have Denims, who's a socialist streamer. And there's, what's that other guy? that he just like inserted himself into the video. But yeah, the online leftist groups, they're all like staunchly pro-Palestinian, and as somebody that cares about history, world history, I think you can criticize the Israeli government and the military actions that they've taken. I think you can criticize them without being anti-Semitic. Unfortunately,
absolutely,
most people in the online leftist space are incapable of this. Like, for some reason, they use Zionist as a dog whistle. Like, they just say Zionist, but they mean Jewish people. It's just, like, completely, like, what the heck? It's the horseshoe theory. Like, you've become so radically left that you're just a Nazi. Like, you just did a full loop to the right. So, yeah. And so they're calling... it's just... It upsets me because I think the way that I was educated, and my father was a history teacher, and we focused a lot on the Holocaust because it is an example in history of something that it's like the worst thing that humanity could do to each other. And the Jewish people, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason people around the world are okay with making them the scapegoats for everything. One of the things that I did when I was at this the Division 32 psychology conference on my water bottle is there was a lecture on anti-Semitism and psychology, and after October 7th, people that are pro-Palestine have been comfortable with doing things that are completely unacceptable, in my opinion. One of the things that they were talking about in this this researcher and professor and psychologist, she does a lot of research on like Jewish psychologists, what the experience of what it's like to be a Jewish psychologist. And she was talking about, when she was talking to other Jewish psychologists, there's this feeling of Jewish people have had a really strong influence in leftist politics. They have been integral to the movement. And now they find themselves in a situation where they're politically homeless. The right obviously doesn't like them. They are pretty anti-Semitic, so you don't want to side with the right. But now the left, which many Jewish people have worked a long time, perhaps their whole lives, to sort of progress leftist ideals and politicians and movements, they now are ousted from those positions, and they're not welcome there either, in the communities that they helped build. And this is pretty upsetting to me to hear about this, but there was a person that was emailing people that had... So on Psychology Today and a lot of databases where you can try to find therapists, you can look for therapists that share your religion, because it's an important part of the human experience, and many people want to find a psychologist that might understand what it's like to be of their religion. And somebody went to a bunch of Jewish psychologists and emailed them, "I'm looking for a Zionist psychologist." Zionist just means Zionist just means that you believe that people that Jewish people should have a land of their own, right? It does not mean that they're pro-genocide. It does not mean that they support Netanyahu. It does not mean that they endorse, the persecution and execution and, all the human rights violations happening to the Palestinian people. It does not mean that. It just means that they believe that Israel should be a country. But this person...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, yes, that is the definition of the word, but it's so hard to, like in general, like especially in this political climate and in this context, like how easy would it, I don't know if easy is the word, how easy would it be to continue that conversation by inserting that word Zion? I'm looking for like a Zionist therapist and expect the listeners and like other people to interpret it the way it should have been interpreted, instead of being like, oh, this person is pro genocide,
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I understand so basically what you're saying is, how do we know that the therapist was communicating it in that way, that they weren't using it in the way that a lot of people online are using it now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think an important contextual clue here is that the timing of it. Pre-October 7th, Zionism wasn't really a dog whistle for anything. So if you were looking for a Zionist therapist, that would just be somebody that aligns with the belief that Israel should be a country. But, obviously after October 7th, it took a little bit for the talking points to be established. And so I'm not certain. I wasn't in those emails, but I assume, based on the timeline that and the context that I was given, that this is pre that usage of Zionist. I don't know if that clears it up for you.
I guess so.
Yeah. But I think, the bad part, though, is that this person that was emailing looking for a Zionist therapist, they ended up taking the emails of every single one of these psychologists and making a blacklist and doxing all of those therapists that responded to that email. Like, yeah, sure, I can see you as a Jewish therapist. So even if you disagree with, even if they had said that I'm a Zionist therapist, right? And they meant it in the context of now. I don't know if that's okay, because now you're bringing people's families into it, So that was upsetting, but anyway, if I'll continue on catching people up to this drama. Yeah, go ahead.
Since you're talking about Zionism, I was just listening, but it's a bit off topic from whatever you're talking. Recently, my country, we have like a synagogue in my country. It was, I don't want to label people, so I'm sorry for what I'm going to say. If you're a supporter of Palestine, I am, if anyone in the the Twitch stream is a Palestine supporter, I am not assuming, I will just clarify, I will just say this, I am not saying that you're all the same. But there was this group of Palestinian supporters who went to the oldest synagogue in my country and attempted to basically destroy the place. In hopes of getting rid of all the Jews in the country, because I according to the rabbi, they were claiming that they were Zionists. Post October 7th Zionist. The word Zionist, I'm referring to the post October 7th. The pre October 7th is not so used to it in terms of how often it was thrown around. But they were destroying the synagogue, and then they basically somehow gotten the entire synagogues, like both the laity and the priests, so and so forth, their numbers, and basically emailed them between themselves I think it resulted in one suicide.
Yeah.
The amount of doxing they did. So what they did was they took that person's number, harassed him daily, threatened to kill his family even.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point the guy couldn't take it and he just killed himself.
Yeah.
Which is quite sad, to be honest. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, you don't want that to happen to anybody. Yeah, go ahead. If anybody has like any pushback, please feel free. These are things that are nuanced. For me, my position is not that. Like, I am more concerned about the anti-Semitism. Like, we can criticize Israel and these things without dog whistling and being anti-Semitic. But if people disagree with certain things, like, please feel free. Yeah. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions as well. So if we move along in this timeline, I got a little sidetracked. But the online leftist movement, in summary, is pretty anti-Semitic for whatever reason. And so they've, Ethan and Ela of H3 Productions, they've been receiving death threats, and they've been on the receiving end of a lot of online harassment, which, I mean, to be fair to other people, if you're of the perspective that there is a genocidal country that is... Oh, thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. If you're of the opinion that there is a genocidal country, right, it is probably... I mean, I can see how it's justifiable to do a lot of these things. If a lot of these people... like Hassan, and Denims and all these other online political pundits for the left, they... How do I put this?
Like, their angers are understandable?
Yeah, I empathize, because they are of the opinion that it is like Nazism. They believe that this is a genocide, and they often use the Holocaust as an example. I will also say that it is a bit... there are interesting...
Excessive?
Well, it's just... It seems wrong to say that Jewish people are Nazis. Like, I understand what they're using. They're using the imagery and, like, the moral associations, right? But it seems wrong to tell Jewish people that they're like the people that systematically executed, like, they call it the Shoah, right? The people that persecuted them. And it doesn't... contextually, it's not the same. It's very different. But I understand. Like, if you believe that they are as bad as the Nazis, then that, I think, for a lot of people, that opens up a lot of... It justifies a lot of actions that I don't find to be justifiable in any way. Because if you're willing to do things that your enemies are doing, it's not... I don't know if you're any better than them. You know? Where was I? About... so, yeah, Ethan and Ela are getting death threats, and eventually, there's this guy named Bad Empanada. And he's had a history of doxing and of just a lot of bad things online. And he claims responsibility for calling Child Protective Services on Ethan and Ela. So
that's low.
Yeah, not good. Also, Ethan and Ela, like H3 Productions, H3 Podcast, they have specific online communities that target them for harassment. They're called Snark, H3 Snark, and they do a lot of harassment campaigns against Ethan and Hila. I mean, no matter what you believe in, it is not okay to target people's families with child protective services are understaffed, underfunded, and they shouldn't be using their time and resources to check out child protective complaints against people that don't deserve it. And this is where we get caught up to the current day beef. In a stream with Denims, who is a political Twitch streamer, she on stream reviews a Bad Empanada video where he talks about how Ethan and Hila gave their kids Giardia because their dog crapped in the house. And then he argues that, child protective services should be called and that kind of thing. And Denims basically, from Ethan's perspective, contributed to the CPS being called on his family. And iDubbbz is friends with Denims, is friends with a lot of these content creators that have been targeting Ethan and Hila for harassment. And Ethan is basically like, yo, dude, because he's been friends with iDubbbz and Anissa, Ian and Anissa, for 8 years, I believe. And he's basically like, yo, your friends are saying really terrible stuff about me and my wife, and like saying that our kids are like getting diseases because we're bad parents. Like, if you could just say something like, hey, we've been to their house, they're not bad parents. If you guys could just say that, that would be like, that would mean a lot. And iDubbbz is basically like, no, I can't do that because I disagree with your takes on Israel and Palestine. Which to me is like not relevant. Like, if you like, I have many people with whom I have political disagreements with, but if somebody called CPS on them, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's not okay. And I would speak up for them because it's unrelated.
But it
Go ahead.
I mean, why involve? Yeah, go ahead.
it's ironic people would use the whole Palestine and Israel war against people. It ruins families. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cases in my when I was helping out with the social service in my country. So it's bad to the point the police need to step in because of this. No matter your views on this war, I don't think that should play into a role of helping people.
Yeah.
If you support Israel, good for you. Support Palestine, good for you. Set that aside, just help. I mean, it's not difficult.
Yeah, and we're currently at the point where I see police cruisers outside of synagogues here in California to protect them against hate crimes because they're Jewish. That's not okay.
My synagogue, you have to go through, I think, six step security procedure just to enter. You need to declare a shit ton of stuff. You cannot even carry your bag into the synagogue. No phones allowed. Basically, if you're wearing specs, no specs as well. They're just going to strip you down of anything that seems to be a camera or can be presumed to be a camera. Then you just go in.
Yeah, and you were saying, Iki, as well?
What was I gonna say? I mean, basically what you said. I just why involve children? Like, there's I mean, it's obviously just foolishness, it's immaturity, and not being able to deal with conflicts in a mature, civil way. just maybe just like I'm angry because I work with kids, but it's so dumb. So dumb. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and so we're looking at Content Cop right here on the screen here. This is the video. This question is regarding the use of the word Zionist in general. Yes, the meaning of the word we've talked about is that it's just of the belief that they are deserving of a homeland, which they are, everybody is, but then also I think it's pretty difficult to detach that word from the bad stuff because of how the belief has been reinforced historically. Not excusing the person who doxed it. Yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is a legitimate criticism to question people that are Zionists because there are some interesting implications about like who has the right to be in that area. I'm not saying that we shouldn't question Zionists, but I'm rather saying we shouldn't call all Jewish people Zionist. Because often we...
Because that's not true.
Right, it's not true. And it's just... We're now at a place politically where people are just using the word Zionist to say Jewish person. And that's not okay.
It's just oversimplified, reductive, and just... It's a lazy excuse for people to just hate on, well, Jewish people.
Right. Yeah, it's just... Like, I get it. And like, we should criticize... Oh, you didn't hear a lot? I see. Basically, I'm saying, like, Zionism is worth... Like, the ideology is worth criticizing. That's fine. Like, you can criticize that. There are criticizable things in that ideology. Where I personally draw the line is we shouldn't be using the word Zionist to describe Jewish people, because that's where we are as a leftist movement right now, and that's not okay. And that's a summary of what I said, I think. So...
Like, I guess it's almost just about as reductive and oversimplified or even misleading as like just being like, oh, if you're pro-Palestine, then you're pro-Hamas.
Yeah, which is like, I would disagree with that too. If somebody was like, yeah, I'm pro-Palestinian, and I was like, oh, so you support October 7th? Like, that's...
It's like, you're no better then, if you say it that way.
Right, and that's not okay. I'm not okay with anti-Semitism. I'm not okay with Islamophobia either. You know, that's like, just because you're Muslim does not mean that you support terrorists. I mean, they have nothing to do with each other.
My school has been educating people on this thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's the same. So, recently we had this very we got this as we deal with how do I say? I deal with a lot of students, so the students would say shit that's, you know, not okay. We have this new Jewish student who dropped out because a bunch of Muslim students were harassing him. No, I'm not, and I repeat, I am not labeling all people are the same. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not the race thing that's wrong, it's the people that are wrong. Every time I bring up this thing, people assume that I'm being racist, so I have to stress this again. It's the people I'm bringing up, not the race. I pity it's always the Jewish students I pity, because they are, especially after October 7th, they always get bullied.
Right. And
because apparently they have ties back to Israel and how the bombings of Palestine. I'm like, there's no connection.
Right, and also it's worth pointing out that on both sides, the people often disagree with their governments. There was just an anti-Hamas protest in Palestine, which is wild if you think about it. Hamas is not pro-democracy. They don't allow free speech. These people that were going out in protest, they went out there accepting that they could die. And there was how many? Like, there was hundreds of people, if I'm correct. Let's see. I'll look this up.
But I think
Hamas
saw
protests in
documentary
Gaza.
once about Hamas producing supposed shows for children that are apparently propaganda. I'm not so sure on that, but apparently there's a documentary on it. You
Yeah.
should search it out.
So pro-Hamas. Yeah, hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protest in Gaza. They're not in support of this, and also the Israeli people don't not all of them agree with Netanyahu either, or with the treatment of Palestinians. Many of them have friends. Before all of this happened, and before tensions got worse in the however many years ago, people could travel in between and had friends, in Palestine and in Israel, right? So it doesn't make sense to equate Jewish people or to equate Palestinians with the movements that they're just subjects in a larger problem, so this is where we get into this is the political underpinnings of the iDubbbz versus Ethan beef. I'll just show you if we think about, so the day that CPS was called on Ethan and Hila, they did a stream in which they called out Bad Empanada and all the people that claim responsibility for these things, and were justifiably upset with iDubbbz for not saying anything. With Ian is iDubbbz, his name, and Anissa is his wife. They're angry with them because they I'm so flustered because it's just so bizarre to me on how you could think this is okay. I'll show you guys a little clip of this video because contextually, if you think about it, this is iDubbbz making an intro to a video with all the people that are implicated in calling CPS on them. So this is the beginning of the content cop. I'll just skip. Actually, no, I'll just play it from here.
Accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group.
Also, if you hear coughing, Ethan apparently has Tourette's.
They will attempt to ruin their
So
lives.
that's one of his tics.
The crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this group of...
What we do here.
Alright, so that's that. I'm just gonna skip this because it's a bunch of useless stuff. It's just entertainment. So this is where the real intro begins, and where I think this is messed up.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live on a...
Also, one of the beefs I have with Hassan, why is he using this font? This is gross.
I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day.
Disgusting.
I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's content nuke, and I'm not going to call it context puke as I normally do, because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am.
So, one of the things that Ethan did, and what Hassan is referring to, is in their disagreements about Israel and Palestine, and Hassan's wild comments about it, Ethan made a content nuke, like a video in which he detailed how he disagrees with Hassan and that he finds him to not be a good person anymore. And Hassan has pretty much done everything but actually watch the video. And so he's saying like, oh, I finally watched it. I honestly don't think he actually watched it. I think he's just saying it for the video.
Vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most important.
That was one of his criticisms, that he was anti-Semitic, which is
and also mentally.
probably
I've
true.
been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the content, Nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know? That's not even everything. How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan.
Okay, hold on. We gotta do our cast of characters here. So this is Ian, iDubbbz, if you're unaware. The person that was speaking was Hassan. This is Denims here, to put a face to the name.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
For context, Ethan called Denims a dumb B word because he thinks that she's responsible for calling CPS on his children, which honestly, if it's true, okay, say whatever.
Ethan, wake up.
That's Frogan. I'm just not even gonna give her any attention.
Wake up.
This is Sean DeBlack. He has nothing to do with this. I don't know why he's in this video. He's literally he hasn't been part of any of this. Frogan, who is the lady in the hijab here, just is part of this beef because Ethan silently unfollowed her. And she didn't like that. And so it became a whole big drama for nothing.
Since anyone? Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
That's Frogan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan. Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Okay, the Sabra thing. I think I talked about this on stream. This is something that I find wild. Frogan and her friends, her political friends, and Denims was part of this as well, did a tier list of who has the Habibi pass. Basically, who can say Habibi. And the top one, I think, was like, what was the top category? It was something like can say Habibi. And the bottom category was Sabra lover. Sabra is, from what I understand, an Israeli type. It's like an Israeli brand of hummus. So basically, they made an Arab to Jew tier list, which it's not good. That's why Sabra is in the video. All right. And also, I have no idea why Sean DeBlack is in, and that's his username. I don't understand why he chose that. Okay, so basically what iDubbbz did he disagrees with his politics, so he went to Hassan's house and filmed the intro to a video criticizing Ethan for his politics with all the people that are, except for Sean DeBlack. I have no idea why he's there. He made a video with all the people that have something to do with him being harassed online and having CPS called on him. Which is like, okay, that's just a terrible thing to do to somebody. And I'm not even going to play the rest of this video. It's an hour long. And if you want, you can waste your time on this. It is just the worst video essay I've ever seen. It takes so many things out of context. And we'll see. I think we can get more. We can understand this video more through Ethan's response than through actually watching this. because this is just a waste of time. And I'm not going to waste your guys' time. So instead, I'm going to show you guys this.
Known as iDubbbz, released a content cop about me. His video's over an hour long and it's full of a lot of accusations. We watched the entire video, every frame of it, responded to every accusation on the podcast in a really long episode. We watched the whole thing, so if you're interested in a more thorough response,
he did like a 5-hour response video.
I would recommend watching this episode. The video that I'm making today, however, I don't need an hour for, because there's really just one central point that I want to make here. My good friend Ian, in his hour-long takedown, did not mention one time Child Protective Services. Not.
So, his point here, the thing you're getting with these people is for people trying to represent the left, they just seem so detached to the point that it's almost mocking the people they think they're trying to represent. Yeah, for sure. I mean, Hassan is the #1 socialist streamer. He advocates for pretty far left ideology. And he owns a $3 million house, I believe in the Hollywood Hills. He owns a Porsche, and he wears designer clothes. And he goes to, like, luxury... He goes to luxury events like Coachella and, you know, all these other things. Like, is this your socialist? Is this your communist king? Are these the... like, that doesn't seem to be in line with his ideology. And also for, like... Yeah, we could sit here all day and I could talk about this. This is a joke. Yeah. It's just... Are these the people representing us? This just seems wrong. Yeah, they definitely are. They end up embodying a lot of what they disagree with. It's just, yeah, it's upsetting. Because, you know, if you're conservative, right, and you go online to look for people that are left, like, on the left, to look at their views, and you see these people, is this really what you want to see? Like, that's not a good not a good representation.
One time in the entire video, he never says CPS. No mention, no explanation, no overview, nothing.
So, yeah, this is one thing. Throughout this entire video, this content cop on H3, he brings up a lot of unhinged clips of Ethan and Hila. And he brings up how, like...
Stood by iDubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them.
So, in this video right here, Ethan is talking about, like, I've stood by Ethan and or Ian and Anissa.
All the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought.
So, throughout iDubbbz's controversies, Ethan is saying that he stood up for him, but he's upset because they're not standing up for him. And in this video, iDubbbz is making it seem like, also, that's such a, you know, I'm just gonna leave it because he deserves it, but that's just a brutal freeze frame. iDubbbz is making it seem like Ethan is criticizing him for not siding with him on Israel-Palestine, for disagreeing with his politics. These clips that he's using have nothing to do with Israel-Palestine in the sense that, like, directly. I mean, it's involved in, like, why CPS was called in the first place. But he's saying that he is disappointed in them because they had CPS called on them, and iDubbbz isn't defending him. It's more of like a friend thing than a politics thing. And iDubbbz is making it seem, by taking the context out, that, like, you've been my friend for 8 years, we've defended you, and you won't side with me on Israel-Palestine. That's not what he's saying. He's saying you won't side with me on the fact that people are trying to get the government to take away my kids.
up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like,
yeah, okay, whatever.
Zero mentions of CPS. A few weeks ago, Child Protective Services showed up to our house at 6 a.m. to interrogate us about an anonymous tip they got that our kids were crawling around and eating dog shit at catching diseases. Ian spends the majority of his video characterizing me like a raving lunatic who's lashing out at everyone around me with zero provocation.
maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can like rekindle our friendship. And I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
What he doesn't say is the majority of these clips he's using are taken from this episode.
There you go.
Now, does he ever show the title of this episode? No, he does not ever show the title of this episode. Snark called Child Protective Services on us. Not only does he not show the title, he doesn't explain why I'm upset, who I'm mad at, why I'm mad at them. Zero context. I am just an anonymous, screaming lunatic.
It's been
So, we end up here, and my criticism of these people often has nothing to do with their personal politics. It often has to do with their character. This isn't, to me, this isn't an issue that has anything to do with Israel-Palestine. This is somebody being a terrible friend and being unempathetic and cruel to somebody that they knew for 8 years. And like Hassan Piker, I don't have beef with him because he supports Palestine and doesn't and disagrees with Israel. I don't support him and I don't like his politics because he is inflammatory. He often advocates for death and like physical threats of violence. He advocated for people not to vote for Kamala Harris in the last election. And he does a lot of things that I find to be unrelated to his politics and more have to do with his character. Like, he doesn't live the way that he preaches. Denims, I don't even really care about that much, but she just doesn't seem to be... She's just putting on the stream and clocking in hours. I don't think she gives a crap. And iDubbbz, like, yeah, like I said, he's just not being a good friend, not being a good person. And that's what I'm more concerned about. Because... And maybe I'm biased as somebody that's studying psychology. But these larger movements are comprised of individual people. If we all had the same virtues, if we all believed in like the power of being a good friend, of nonviolence, of not wanting to harm other people, we wouldn't be in any of these situations to begin with. But we let our hatred, we let our ignorance, we let our anger control us, and we end up in these situations where we're not being good people. So what is the solution? We can hold ourselves responsible and try to be the best people that we can be. I mean, be understanding and empathetic just like we would be to other people. If this content cop was a good faith, empathetic response to Ethan, then I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. The reason why I think so many people are saying that iDubbbz is being a bad person has to do with him taking clips out of context, being unempathetic, and just, yeah, like... just be a good person. It's, I mean...
Hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years. And as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
And also, he's minimizing their friendship.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say like,
who would have thought that talking about how people online called Child Protective Services would have been an emotional dumping ground? I feel like... Okay.
We feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do...
A problem with these people is they start to attach themselves to this idea that they're an image of these ideologies that puts them on a pedestal in the way is being used where criticism of them as characters, as individual people, is presented as a symbol of an attack to the ideologies they represent. Becomes a blur. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of this happened in the first place, because Ethan criticized Hassan, criticized his character and his specific beliefs in the way that he was conducting himself. He criticized those things, and people saw it as an attack to their ideology, which I can bring in my my education here as somebody's just a student. I've done a post in the Discord server. I put one of my discussion posts on how politics and terror management theory are related to each other. Studies have found that when you remind people of death, they become more entrenched in their beliefs. In terror management theory, and there are plenty of holes. I've criticized it a bunch. I'm not sure how much I prescribe, but I think there's some truth to it. In terror management theory, there's a disconnect. We have an anxiety around death. We as humans have a self-awareness. We know that there is death. And we are also aware that it can come at any point in time. And this creates anxiety. The way that people in terror management theory, according to terror management theory, the way that people try to alleviate or defend against death anxiety is by creating what are called proximal and distal defenses. So proximal defenses are, if you think about proximal, right? Proximity, close. Proximal defenses are immediate responses. So in this situation, let's say you are looking at October 7th footage. You're seeing people call into radio stations and begging for their life, as many Jewish people did on October 7th. Or, on the other hand, you see what's happening in Gaza, right? You're seeing all the atrocities, like the bombings, bombing hospitals, starvation, drought, not receiving aid. That's a reminder of your mortality. It's a reminder of that death exists. And so a way that we defend it proximally through our proximal defenses is by an immediate reaction, right? So that might be you change the channel. That might be that you turn away. That might be that you distract yourself with something else, right? That's a proximal defense, proximal defense. The other way that we defend is through something called distal defenses. Distal, distance, far away, right? Distal defenses are things like worldview, ideology, relationships, something that we call like immortality projects, symbolic immortality. We try to create a life, create beliefs that help us not think about death as much. So if you think about Christianity has a belief in everlasting life after death. If you're a Christian, so that alleviates some of your death anxiety. If you're in a world where atheism is increasingly prevalent, not as like that's not even evaluative. I'm not putting any value on that. I don't have any judgment towards that. It's just what is happening. People increasingly find solace in political ideology. So, if you think about it, a large reason why things feel so tense is because people have a lot more invested in their political ideology, because their political ideologies are providing a lot of the same things for them. It's providing you a way to feel moral, to feel like a good person, that after death, something good will come of your life. So if you're invested in politics, maybe that means that you invested yourself into political movements. You went on marches, you signed, you voted for different politicians, you signed, I don't know, like, what are they called? Oh my god. Petitions. Yeah, you sign petitions. And the belief is, after your death, that your actions will live on in a larger political movement, right? You get to transcend your fear of death through political ideology. And we can see in this that people, like a lot of these influencers, will attach themselves to the ideology. And so whenever they feel like their symbolic... if you think about political ideology as a form of symbolic immortality, right? It's a way to become immortal, to have yourself. You've expanded what you see as yourself. You've expanded it to something larger than yourself. So now it feels like a threat. It's almost like threatening, existentially threatening yourself, because you've expanded your idea of self to include your political ideology. So when somebody threatens to kill, in quotation marks, your political ideology, it feels like a threat onto your physical existence. And so you become further entrenched in your ideology and thinking that you're unmistakable from it. So yeah, that's a great point, Wireless.
The extra thing, and
it also could have something to do with why iDubbbz is for some reason thinking that this is about Israel Palestine and not about the CPS call, because maybe he's just afraid of like his way of life being threatened and not thinking about the empathy part, because the research on TMT has shown that people become less empathetic to people that they view to be different from them when they're reminded of death. They call it mortality salience.
In this episode,
and also, if you're interested in further reading, this is a big, annoying academic book, but Terror Management Theory, Handbook of Terror Management Theory, editors Routledge and Vess. I recommend that. And also, I think you can find some of the references in some of the posts that I've done in the Discord. Hearing the similarity of a possible reason of people attaching to religion and political ideology is cool. Yeah, and Terror Management Theory is based on this book. It's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, The Denial of Death. I believe this is Ernest Becker. I believe he was a sociologist. So obviously this theory that a lot of the things that we do in life is to deny ourselves of being aware of our death is going to be implicated in politics, religion, culture, that kind of thing, because it came from somebody that was thinking about that kind of thing. And then terror management theory arose as a integration of Becker's work along with existential psychology, Existential psychology. If you're interested in existential psychology, existential psychotherapy by Yalom. And then also with psychoanalysis and kind of humanistic psychology, but humanistic psychology and existential psychology are kind of, yeah.
CPS came to my home, I was understandably...
And also, if you think about it on Ethan's side, his children are I have a study here. Can't believe I'm bringing up my reference manager, talking about iDubbbz and Ethan. Let me... Oh. Crashed. Oops. Guess it did not like that. Hold on. Let me cook on this. I gotta log into my school account. Darn it. Darn two-factor authentication.
I think when I graduate from school, the one thing I'm gonna miss is having access to school library.
Right?
Because it's not the same to just use Google.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's yeah, and people are like, well, Google Scholar, it's not the same. Let me tell you, it's not the same. Oh, where is it? I had an article here on terror management theory and people using their children as a way to defend against existential terror. Oh my gosh, where is it? They called it child continuity? Oh, descendant continuity. It's a Chinese study by Qi. Evidence that descendant continuity acts as a distal and proximal defense. Let me see if I can open this. Open containing folder. Copy. I'm gonna put it in the Discord if anybody's interested. Discussion. I'll put them there. If anybody's interested, I have the paper in there. But yeah, basically people use descendant continuity, or like their children and how in alignment with their beliefs they are, to defend against the anxiety of death. In according to this theory. So Child Protective Services, I mean, it's not impossible to think how parents can see threats to their children as a threat to their self, because parents extend their idea of the self, and they often extend it to their children, which I would argue is probably not good for them. But, you know,
was a provocation
we do a lot of things that aren't good for us.
It went into my real world, was affecting my children and my life in a way that I found extremely disturbing, and an escalation that I found very unacceptable. Now,
yeah,
why
I agree.
am I mad
It's
at
not
you for
okay.
this? Well, let's start here.
And also, can I just say, I don't think it's an insane take just to think that it's not okay to call CPS on people. Am I crazy?
Is someone he's accusing me of in his video of harassing. Let's see what Denim said about my children.
Here we go,
3 days
Denims.
before CPS was called.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like...
So this is all Denim's chat while they're talking about
he has
this.
Kids, and his kids like crawl into the
CPS,
dog shit, and
child
God
endangerment.
forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it, or if it's just from like contact with it with their
Call
hands or
CPS.
something. But they contracted a parasite that I had
How is
previously
CPS
never
not
heard of in
involved
my
at this
life,
point?
called Giardia, from
Call CPS.
the dog shit that is all over his
True,
house.
dude. How is it that like maybe once a week
Call CPS.
I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time
Child
I
services
manage to
alert.
find more and
California
more
Child
terrible
Protective Affairs,
shit.
where are
This is
you?
where Ethan tells a story about his family getting Giardia.
We already have mold Mondays. Now we have shit Saturdays.
Also, this is not a joking matter, by the way. It can be very severe and deadly to small children.
Also, I honestly don't even think that Denims is doing this maliciously. I think she's just clocking in. I think she's just doing streaming hours. I don't think
much
she
like
actually
many other
gives a crap.
illnesses, It's very, very, very dangerous when infants get the same sicknesses that adults get. There are
Child
lots of
Protective
things you can get as an
Services,
adult,
child
you're
abuse.
Totally fine. You'll be a-okay. No problem.
Child neglect.
A child, a
CPS
small infant
again.
that has no immune
CPS.
system shouldn't be
Call
catching
CPS.
anything.
No wonder his house is covered in dog shit, and his neglected children raised by nannies have contracted parasites previously unknown to science from the feces. I wonder why he skipped over all of this, because everything that he said, everything that I said in this story...
So it's not impossible to see how
it was
Ethan
apparently compiled by his crew.
thinks
Like,
that...
No wonder this motherfucker's always sick.
It's not impossible to see how Ethan sees Denims to be partially responsible for why CPS is called on him and his family.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. It makes sense why he doesn't care about Palestinian children when he is neglecting his own. How are you? How?
Right.
Wait,
and
so I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how calling CPS works in the States, but could the any of the viewers could they have called the CPS on them?
Let's see how to file a CPS report. I'm pretty sure anybody can do it. Yeah. And also, if you are in California and you are involved in mental health, you're a mandated reporter. So, probably know these numbers. So yeah, you can just, I'm pretty sure Ethan and Hila live in Los Angeles County. So you can, there's literally an online report tool. And also, I think from what it sounds like, and I'm not sure, that people coordinated. So if they're receiving a bunch of things, and also I think in the initial, I know in the initial video that they said, that they, in the podcast, that they first shared that CPS was called on them, they talked about how CPS basically said that somebody said that they were a family friend or that they were like a relative and they visited the house and they saw that it was like a mess and that like there was dog poop all over the floor and that the kids were getting diseases, and that's why CPS came in, because I guess somebody posed as like a close person. I'm not, oh, oops, wrong video. Let's just close out of that. I don't need that.
How is it happening?
Imagine if none of the content creators involved in this drama actually called the CPS and it was just one of the viewers.
Wait, like, are you saying, one of the people, like one of the content creators? Imagine if one of them called it instead of, or the other way around.
Imagine if none of them actually called and it was just random people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it might have been random people, because honestly, most of the time, content creators don't actually do anything. Like, look at all these political content creators. Where are they at the protests? Where are they, like, canvassing?
Yeah, imagine all these people in drama. They think like they're accusing each other of calling the CPS, but it's actually none of them. That's my conspiracy theory.
No, I don't. I think you're right, but I think people that advocate for it, even if they don't do it, I mean, look at Denim's chat here. They're literally all saying CPS, CPS, CPS. Statistically, it's highly probable that between all of these people that are implicated in this incident, that one of, like, a couple of viewers, just, like, based on the numbers, it's not impossible to think that one of the viewers saw this as an endorsement that they should call CPS personally.
What is happening?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even make fun of people's
So
weight. I've
I
never
would
made
say
fun of
that
people's
still
weight.
makes them somewhat morally responsible.
I do make fun of people's posture. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
making an active decision that, like, you don't give a fuck about your health or your posture or your dog
I
shitting
don't.
all...
We don't need to listen to that.
Meth-Zempic diet.
Denim's attempted to justify it by claiming that it's okay because children can't be traumatized.
I want you to create any bad memory here for them. Like, they are 5 and 3. They don't understand this shit. So I told him.
Create any bad memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5.
Yeah, I don't know. Denim's is like talking about posture. Like, that's why I skipped it. I was like, this is just useless. I don't care.
Nah, yes you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to recall memories, it's like 4 is the cutoff.
The IQ counter
but
is
even
brilliant.
If you
Edited.
are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember them past like 15.
Also, just factually incorrect.
Call memories. It's like, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old.
It's very rare that people are forming memories at 5 years old. Let's see what a Google search will tell us. Oh. Thanks for the posture check. Darn it, Denims is watching. At what age do children start having memories? 3 to 4 years old. Retrievable long-term memories. Let's see. What did she say? Let's just cross-check this. Make sure that she's...
Memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're forming memories at 5 years old. Nah, yes you are.
Okay, so very rare that children start forming memories at 5 years old. 3 to 4 years old. Let's see. At what age can a child have trauma? Maybe remember trauma. It might be better. And we're not even going to go to the AI overview. Review of the literature indicates striking similarities in the development of young children's ability to recall traumatic and non-traumatic events. Events experienced before the age of about 18 months do not seem to be verbally accessible. Events experienced between about 18 months and 2.5 to 3 years are reported in fragmentary fashion, seem to be prone to increasing error over time. Age 3 years on, children can give reasonably coherent accounts of their past experiences and can retain these memories over long durations. The ways in which children are able to participate in conversations about events as they are occurring in retrospect seems to play a critical role in their developing event memories. Implications of the empirical data for understanding trauma memory in childhood are discussed. Let me see if I can get this whole thing. Why is it not giving me the whole... like, sometimes you can... Let's see, can I copy link? I'll put this in my academic research. Let me just take the DOI part off. Oh my gosh, please. Hold on.
Craving furry.
Copy link. Please hold. Get access through my school.
Posture check, yeah, guys. Please sit comfortably.
Posture check.
Remember, posture check.
It's saying, I hate when this happens. It's so annoying. It like soft locks you into the web page and doesn't let you actually look at the thing. Can I like circumvent this by going to the issue?
Do you have to pay for an article?
No, it's sometimes with these websites they like say access through your institution and then they just don't. Hold on, wait, I might be able to get it.
Do you want me to use my school library?
If you can. Hold on. Can you do that? And then I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Be right back.
Interesting conversation. Did I expect to be cracking my head this today? What's this?
Hands are washed. Piss bar is empty.
Hey yo.
Damn piss bar, what the hell?
You ever watch Scott Pilgrim?
Oh.
Where is it? What was the children's recollections of? There we go. Go back. Go forward.
How do I send this to you?
You can send it in
discussion?
Yeah, sure. That works.
Definitely not breaking school law or anything. Haha.
No worries, yeah. If you can't talk, no worries. But yeah, it is always open. Also, the more that you chat, the more the number go up. So let's see. Let's just scroll to the relevant part. Role of language, blah 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 blah. Experience between 18 months through.
Oh, this is an old article.
Yeah, it's 19. I mean, but this kind of research doesn't really. It's pretty consistent, unless it's like treatment. Because it's. I mean, it's just saying like how early people remember. Which is. You can probably find things in like the late 1800s talking about this. They're probably still pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean, the references are old, but... But essentially, I mean, recollecting trauma. Stressful experience such as getting sutures or severely traumatic events such as sexual abuse by the age of 3 years, children are able to give detailed, accurate accounts. So, if a child was traumatized by... Because the CPS agent said that he wanted to visit the kid at school. So, you could see how... Even if it wasn't a traumatic experience, a 5-year-old kid could definitely be impacted by this thing. So, I mean, I don't think I really need to do all that research just to disprove Denham's misinformed point, but there you go, I guess.
No, you're not.
That's what I get for being in grad school. I'm like, I can't just say that's wrong. I gotta have a source.
Being able to remember, being able to recall memories. It's like 4 is the cutoff.
But yeah, if people are interested, the article is by Robin Fivush of Emory University. It's in the journal Development and Psychopathology, 1998. And it is called Children's Recollections of Traumatic and Non-Traumatic Events, if you are interested.
But even if you are forming any memories at 4, you're not going to be able to remember